All right, my darlings, as you have seen, we have Bodhi and friends back this morning. So welcome to Bodhi, Joe, Rick, and Amanda. And let me just say some things about Bodhi that you may not know. So at age 14, little Kevin Sechko heard Paul Horn play flute in the Taj Mahal, and it changed his life. He knew the silver flute would be his lifelong companion, and since then, he's become Bodhi Starwater. And he's now playing not only exotic flutes, but the conch shell, tarango, 12-string guitar, Tibetan bowls, feathers, harmonica, gong, drums, rattles, and keyboard. Anything else?
Feathers.
I got feathers.
Okay.
I got feathers. And he was also our music director here for many years. So he's been working with sound meditation, sound healing, sacred sound journeys for more than 40 years now. He studied with Tito La Rosa, Paul Horn, lots of other people. His music is used in yoga studios, health spas, at health practitioners' offices, and has millions of plays on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, and so on. And he's been a featured artist at festivals and conferences, including the International Conference on Shamanism. In 2021, up in Mount Shasta, he created Soundscape Oasis, which is a sound healing temple sanctuary. So, without further ado, we're going to sing All That I Am with Bodhi and with all our dear ones. So please stand and join us right now.
All right. I want to. Oh, do all that I see and all that I see and all that I feel is God. And all that I have, all that I do, all that I am is God. All that I hear, all that I see, all that I feel is God. All that I have, all that I am is God. Now let me hear you really sing it out. All that I hear, all that I see, all that I feel is God. All that I have, all that I do, all that I am is God. All that I am is God.
Woo.
Wow. The chorus is back.
All right. Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. And we're going to take this time now to turn within. Now that we've said hello to each other and raised our voices, we're going to turn within and center ourselves. So I'm inviting our morning prayer practitioner, Leslie Giannetti, up to do the opening prayer for us.
All that I am is God. This is the absolute truth of being. And as we turn within now to our sacred center, there is one sacred center within each one. It is the magnificent all-in-all power and presence. This power pours itself through everything visible and invisible, through every cell and atom, enlivening and enlightening every cell with its supreme intelligence. Right now, this infinite life is operating through one at the highest optimal power. So I speak my word for each one, and I claim an opening in consciousness for deep receptivity to the power within, which is always seeking greater self-expression and greater ways of being and living and thinking. And even now, in the middle of this beautiful service, through the music, through the words, through the prayer, the infinite life is communicating and operating through each one, and allowing it, accepting it, opening to it, always demonstrates in oneness. One life manifesting for the greater good, one life manifesting for optimal health and well-being. This is how the infinite life celebrates itself by means of each one. And I honor this life within each one. I call it forth, and I give thanksgiving for the life within each and every one, and the life within today's service. I release my word now to the law of mind, which embraces my word as an absolute gift and as the absolute truth for the greater good. And so it is. Amen.
It's so great to be with the band again, I'm telling you. Yeah, so this is a song that I just wrote recently, and it's a very simple chorus, 3 words, and you'll hear it when it comes around, and you can join us. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of war, learn each other's music. Instead of war, learn each other's music. Instead of war, learn the music. Learn the music. Oh, speak your mind. Learn from the heart. Oh, speak your mind. Learn from the heart. Oh, speak your mind. Learn the music. Learn the music. Oh, light the way. Keep your lanterns burning. Oh, light the way. Keep your lanterns burning. Oh, light the way. Learn the music. Learn the music. Oh, make a change. Learn some new behavior. learn another language. Oh, embrace the mix. Learn another language. Oh, embrace the mix. Learn the music. Learn the music. How about some music from Joe? Learn the music. Learn the music. Instead of war, learn each other's music. Instead of war, learn each other's music. Instead of war, learn the music. Sing it with me. Learn the music. 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 I could sit here all day. Learn the music. Learn the music. Yeah. Woo!
So fun to be here.
Thank you, Joe Munch.
Got my spirits really lifted when he gave
Nice
me the
job,
call.
Joe. Thanks, Joe, buddy.
I needed that.
Thank you all. All right, so we're doing something special today. And you were offered the opportunity when you came in the door to write down a question on the 3x5 card. And I hope that some of you did, because that's what we're doing this morning. So you've got some, Paula? Oh, great, bring them on up. So this year we're talking about a grand rising, and this month of June is holy boldness. So, writing down a question could be bold, but I'm not going to read your names if you put them on here. So that's not a problem, so don't worry about that. But holy boldness, I am here without a prepared talk. I'm just here to answer questions this morning, to let myself be stumped. So this is kind of the Stump the Minister day. And we'll see if you have asked any questions that I really can't make up a suitable answer for. So as I said last week, as somebody wise once said, you pretend you have questions, and I'll pretend I have answers. So that's what we're doing this morning. So the first one says, does it matter who gets elected to be president of the USA? That's a great question for us to think about because the election is coming up. As far as the ultimate trajectory of the United States is concerned, wherever this country is going, it has a lifespan like each one of us. It has a life and an entity like each one of us. And we don't know what's coming for it any more than we do for any one of us. So from a spiritual standpoint, the United States of America is going to evolve in the way that it needs to. And, I remember that Reverend Dr. Barbara Leger used to tell the people in Ukraine, we get the government we deserve. We get the government that we are in line with in consciousness as a country. And I believe that that's true no matter how it comes about. So the consciousness of the country is really what determines what happens. And the more that we know that, the more we have a way of approaching from the inside of ourselves what we want, not only our life, but the life of our larger country and our fellow citizens to be. And so, whereas we can debate different candidates and what they bring forward and what they want to do and how they envision the future, everyone has to determine in their hearts if that aligns with what they want to claim for our country, for its future, for all of us and for all the world. So personally, politically, yeah, I think it matters. But that's on a very human conditional view of what I imagine, okay? At the same time, unfoldment that happens, I do believe that the universe brings us blessings in a variety of ways, and not all of them are easily recognizable, and not all of them are welcome. But the blessings that come to us come because they either are a reflection of where we are and where we've been, or they're a reflection of what we are in the process of becoming. And it's a reflection back to us. So that just like our lives are a matter of what we put out comes back to us energetically, one way or another, maybe not immediately, maybe not from the same place we put it out, but it comes back. As a country, it's the same thing. What we put out in consciousness comes back to us multiplied. So if we put out fear, we get more of that. If we put out freedom, we get more of that. But what our underlying belief and energy is, that's the real prayer. So we want to look to ourselves and see if we can lovingly, honestly choose what is in alignment with us, not with our fear, but with our vision for what we want to see unfold. And it does make a difference, what we hold and what we envision. So that's how I'm getting out of that question. Oh, thank you. Reverend Mary, have you ever prayed to have God's Spirit change you at the core of your being? If so, were you fearful of the outcome? Boy, that's really a holy boldness question, isn't it? Yes, I would say I have prayed to be changed at depth. And of course, the universe, as I just said, reflects back to us what's underneath that. I don't know if I felt afraid at the time. What I felt was a profound desire to go deeper in spirit. And I can remember Reverend Dr. Peggy Bassett in Orange County when she was dealing with ALS, with Lou Gehrig's disease. And she had been the former minister there, and I was the second one after her, and she was still living at the time, and I would go over and visit her at home from time to time. And I remember she said to me, I have practitioners who are praying for me to get well because they've said to me, I'm not going to have a minister who is dying of ALS, we're going to handle this thing. And she said, I haven't asked them for prayer. And here's why, she said. This has always stuck with me because it affected me so profoundly when she said it. She said, this experience came to me after I prayed the most profound prayer I have ever prayed for a closer walk with Spirit. And that's what I'm doing. So, although in her prayer she wouldn't have asked for Lou Gehrig's disease, give me a serious illness, God, but it certainly caused her to dig deep for the transformative desire that she was calling for, so that she could see her experience as a blessing and a closer walk with Spirit, even though it's not something she would have asked for. Now, think back on your own lives to the times that you have had something cataclysmic happen to you, some loss. If you look at it honestly, really honestly, and you put aside any bitterness or upset or fear, you can find some thread of blessing in that. It may not have been what you wanted, but it may have been what your soul was calling for. So when we call on Spirit or the creative law, and we're praying a profound prayer to be changed at our core, at our essence, we're really asking for a new life and a new understanding of ourselves and more God. And it can be scary. That's what calls forth the holy boldness. It can be scary to do that. But when our hunger for that change compels us to do that, we can feel afraid and still be safe. You know, you can feel afraid and recognize it as the energy that's looking into the unknown and still move forward. How do we do that? We do that because we're in the process of deepening our faith in God, deepening our reliance on the truth. And the more we do that, the stronger we get in it. It doesn't mean we're never afraid. It just means that we recognize fear is just a flashing yellow light. It's not a red stop. Occasionally it turns into a red stop, but a flashing yellow light tells us a couple of things. It tells us, first, this is important. It tells us, second, we are stepping into something unknown. It's beyond what we already know and beyond what we already know how to do. It's going to be probably challenging and different, and we may have to make this choice over and over again. But once we make the decision and we absolutely know that we want this, even though we feel scared, then we begin to take those small steps, and the entire universe rushes in to support us through those small steps if we allow it. It makes me think of 12-step programs. In the moment of pull toward the addiction, what is the choice? There's always a choice. Do we choose then to call a sponsor, to talk to a companion on that path, to call a practitioner and ask for prayer? Do we do all of those things? Or do we just push all of it aside? The choice is always ours in the moment, and it is a scary choice to make when we're dealing with something that is either an addiction or feels compelling or almost obsessive to us. Does this make sense what I'm saying? We support each other. I love that story about the redwoods. You know, redwoods don't have a taproot. Other trees have a taproot that goes down as far as the tree is tall. So if you see an enormous tree, its roots go down into the ground as far as it is tall. Redwoods don't do that. They congregate in groves, and they send their roots out rather than down, 3 times the size of the height of the tree. So if you see a big, tall redwood tree, its roots extend out 3 times that far underneath the ground, and they entwine with each other. So they're held up by their community. And that's what happens when we want to be changed at depth and we are afraid. That's when we reach into our community, our circle of support and influence. It may be friends, it may be practitioners, it may be a therapist, it may be a doctor, it may be a psychiatrist, it may be a practitioner, who knows? But we step into the larger circle. We take those close to our hearts and we say, I need help with this. I need your support. I hope that's helpful. The next one says, I have trouble praying to a, quote, power. I can see why many people prefer a figure in the sky. How is a power kind and loving? And I do believe in that power. I understand that. And I tell you what, you don't need to worry about the law, the power, that creative energy, because it's going to do it automatically anyway. It doesn't need you to be addressing it. So think of the presence. It may not be a person in the way that we think of a person, but you know what it feels like when you go into a party or a family group or something where everybody is really happy to see you. If you ever watch Cheers, it's when Norm walks in and everybody goes, Norm! Everybody knows your name. When you step into a place where people love you and you can feel the difference, right? As opposed to stepping into a group where you're just one of a bunch of strangers. That's the feeling of welcome of the Spirit. It's not a person, it's an atmosphere, it's a consciousness, it's a beingness that we experience as created by a whole bunch of people together. But in this instance, what we're doing is we're leaning into kind of that feeling of being held and loved so intensely and personally by this loving presence, this Spirit, whatever that means to you. Think of it in that way, rather than that you're addressing your prayer work into a power. Instead, feel that presence in you and around you in the room, because it's already there. You carry it with you everywhere you go. It's already everywhere you're headed. Sometimes we feel it more than others. So in the moment of prayer, take a moment to invite God's love to be felt by you. And then go ahead with your prayer, even if you can't feel it yet. Just acknowledge and then go on into your prayer. How long is it going to take us humans to learn that love is the answer? As I look at world events, I sometimes wonder if we are going in the right direction. You know, I think on some level we know, but we don't get it. It's like we always want there to be an exception. So there's a story about a Buddhist teacher who is instructing his community and everybody in the village to hold everyone with equal blessing. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be happy, right? And one of the farmers comes to him and says, you know, I really agree with you about that. I really appreciate that. But there's one farmer who is really mean to me, and he's always throwing weeds into my crops and stuff like that. And so would you please know peace and blessing for all beings except him? And that's what we do as human beings. Alan Cohen says something about, I realized that I had loved everybody who loved me. That gave them a special significance to me in my life, that they loved me and therefore I loved them. The real trick, he said, is not in loving everybody who loves you already. I mean, that's great. But can we love a stranger? Can we love somebody who we disagree with so profoundly? I have said from time to time when I'm watching the news, I don't want to hate this person. And sometimes that's the best I can do in that moment, you know? And this is having been a minister for nearly 40 years. I'm still trying to get it down here, too. that the real answer is love. Can I cast my vote with love? Can I cast my vote with encouragement and enthusiasm and love? That's the beginning. Because if I can't, how do I expect anybody else to? The world will not go in the right direction, whatever that means, until I can go in the right direction. And it may be that the entire universe is just waiting for me to get it, or any one of us. Hey, I don't even know if we're all really here. I mean, it's possible that all of you are other manifestations of my consciousness, and your whole job is to get me to wake up. Not that I would ever recognize that or you would ever acknowledge it, but how do I know? You know? It may be that I'm the last holdout and the universe is waiting for me to get it. So if and I don't think of that very often, you know, but if I do think of it, even though I don't think that's really true, there is a possibility that that might be true. And so from that standpoint, it's like that story about the rabbi and the monk who meet each other out at the little sanctuary where the rabbi has gone to pray on the monk's grounds, and the monk goes out to meet him to say, we don't have any new monks coming in, and what's going on, and this is really sad. And the rabbi says, you know, it's the same for us. And they cry together and they pray together. And when the abbot comes back, he tells everybody, well, you know, he didn't have any words of wisdom either. He didn't know the answer. They knew he was kind of a mystic, you know. He didn't have any answers either. He did say one kind of cryptic thing just before we left. He said, the only thing I can tell you is that the Messiah is one of you. But that was it. So the abbot said, that's all I know. And so they all began to treat each other with extraordinary kindness on the off chance that one of them was the Messiah. And then, thinking about it more, they began to treat themselves with extraordinary kindness, because who knew? Maybe they were supposed to be the Messiah. I think that if we can begin to just ever so slightly begin to hold to the possibility that the one we're talking to, the one we're listening to, on some level is the manifestation of the divine presence, because they really are, even if they don't know it. If we could make space for that, even where it's most deeply disguised, we would begin to move the world in some kind of direction, which has to be the right direction because there's nowhere else for it to go. That is really close to, though, being a stumper. What was your first introduction to New Thought? Okay. In 1977, I went to a personal growth training, and it changed my life. And when I came back, I was trying to figure out what that meant. But one of the things it meant for me was that I wasn't Catholic anymore. It was clear to me that I had been on a search for a while. I had been going to the Quest bookstore in Seattle and with some guilt as a little Catholic, you know, buying books about occult things like the Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East and The Door of Everything and other stuff. And there was a thing in Seattle at that time called the Become calendar, and it was a little newsletter that had all of the kind of woo-woo events that were going on in Seattle at the time. And a friend pointed out to me that near where he lived in Ballard, in the Seattle area, there was a little church that sounded kind of interesting to him, and he thought they might go and check it out. It had a phone number that was a dial-in inspiration. So I called it. And now, mind you, I was looking for some kind of spiritual community because I'd always had one, and I was missing that. But the only breadth I had was I was thinking about trying to find the least offensive Christian church I could find. That was as far as it went at that moment. So I called this dial-in inspiration number, right, knowing that it was a recording and thinking, if he says anything about the blood of Jesus, I'm hanging up. But he didn't. He passed the first test. So I decided to go on Sunday. And it was as if I could almost not keep my mouth from falling open, because I was listening to him and he was saying things that I believed and things that I had learned in this personal growth training. And it blew my mind, because I never expected to hear anything like that in a church from any minister, for sure. And all these people around me were totally comfortable with it. Nobody freaked out. Nobody ran screaming. Lightning bolts were coming from the sky. I was amazed. So I went back between the two services, because he was doing some kind of little orientation for membership. Not that I was ready to be a member, but I did start going. And my husband at the time and I both joined the choir. I took foundations class, which was Science of Mind 1 at that time. This was the little Seattle Church of Religious Science. And that's where I started. And once I started going, I couldn't stop, as you can see. So that's what happened to me. That's how, and actually, it took me about a year from the time I did that personal growth training. And during that year, A Course in Miracles was what I did. In fact, I'm doing it again now. But it started moving me in another direction too, as well as other things. And then by the time I got to the Church of Religious Science in Seattle, I was ready for it. What are the challenges and particular joys of being a gay minister in the times in which we're living? Oh my God, it's so much easier now. Actually, just to be clear, I am not a lesbian, I am bisexual. I am married to a woman. I hope this doesn't freak any of you out online. I didn't think about that. But anyway, you might as well know. You know, the interesting thing is I had had people in my congregations come to me as a minister, as a divorced woman, straight woman as far as I knew, come to me and say, I've fallen in love with another woman. Are you going to throw me out of the church? Or what's going to happen here? Or what do I do? And I said, you know, love happens regardless of the wrapper. It's not about the wrapper. Love is always a gift. So when it happened to me, I thought, I can't very well tell myself something that I would not tell somebody else, tell myself something different than that. But I was scared because I was in Orange County, California. I don't know if you know about Orange County, but it is the home of the John Birch Society, the Richard Nixon Library. It is very conservative, and the red part of the blue state, or at least the red half of the blue state, however you want to look at it, in California. And so I spent quite a while before I told the congregation, and I told them because I had to. Because one of the ministers, who was an assistant minister there, called me, and she said, she and her husband had been listening to a radio program that morning that was a call-in show, and the radio host was gay, I guess, and had said, you know, there are no churches around that are welcoming and accepting of gay people. And someone called in and said, well, if you want to go someplace that's welcoming to gay people, you should go to the Huntington Beach Church of Religious Science. And the guy said, oh yeah? How do you know that church is welcoming? She said, oh, it's very welcoming. We have lots of gay members. Even the minister's gay. So she said, you know, other people may have heard this, one of my assistant ministers. Other people, I had already had a conversation with the staff, some of the staff. So I had a meeting with the larger staff. I had a meeting with the practitioners. I said, this Sunday, I'm going to address this with the congregation. I would like you to be ready to pray with them if they have trouble with this. And people still tell me they kept that tape of that Sunday talk. I don't have it anymore, but that's how it started. I was also on the international board at that time. So I went to them and I said, I will step down if you all feel this is going to be have any negative energy on the movement as a whole. And they were like, what, are you kidding? Sit down. So it never was an issue with them. It was an issue with some of the people in the congregation. We did lose some people from the congregation. And now I'm kind of used to it. It doesn't scare me anymore unless I'm in places where I should probably be a little wary. But I don't feel frightened of it. I know that things are in flux, now. So I don't know what will come next. But in this moment, as I'm standing here right now, I feel okay.
You are okay.
Thank you. Are there plans for a children's church? All right. Let me say something about that. At our last strategic planning retreat with the Leadership Council, one of the things I said to them is, we've been talking for a very long time about children and children's church and families and having no place to have the kids. And I found a report that Crossroads Church Development Systems did for Golden Gate when Reverend Dr. Marcia Sutton was still the minister. So that's before Reverend Carroll. So that's more than 25 years ago, okay? And in the report, and they were meeting here, and in the report it said, this is not a place the church can stay if they want to have children and families. 25 years ago. Now, for a while, we had children's church backstage, but the powers that be have said that because that doesn't have any really safe handicapped access, it's not safe to have anybody else come and go from there, and so they have other stuff back there, but not people, not from the outside. So we can't use it. One of the things I brought up to them in the meeting was, maybe it's worth considering that we are a unique congregation of people who are older than a certain age, and perhaps we should be looking at what the congregation we have needs and wants, and begin offering more and more of those things. Let others that are like us in that realm where they're looking for spirituality that's non-traditional, but they're older, let them come to us because we're offering things that appeal in the whole community to that age group. I would imagine there are a lot of seniors who have stopped attending anywhere because there isn't a place that specifically is there for them and recognizes that it is. Now, that would be a unique ministry, and of course, it would mean that we would need to continue to bring people in because, we're not going to be reproducing in the same way, possibly. So we kind of shelved the children's church for now. If that process then unfolds for us, we may or may not find ourselves with children in the future. And I know that disappoints some people, and I'm sorry to say that, but I want you to know that's been under discussion. What was the most challenging situation you faced being a minister? I had a sociopath on my board who intentionally created a lot of chaos and disruption and tried to have me removed and lied about a number of things. And it required certain kinds of awareness and strategy and attention and behavior in order to kind of insulate against damage from that person's presence. And that was the most difficult. The other thing that's been difficult for me is anytime I had to fire someone, there's nobody who likes doing that, and I particularly do not like doing it. It is very upsetting to do. And in some instances I needed to, and we had a bookkeeper who stole a lot of money from one of the churches, and we had to go through a whole series of things to release that person, and that was a big deal, and it wasn't easy. Reverend Mary, what's your experience and belief of God as an impersonal principle only versus a loving, connecting presence? I am with Ernest Holmes, who said that if we think that God is only the law, the impersonal law, we're missing an important part of it, that diminishes the presence. I think that it's impossible to have personal experiences that are of a mystical or awakening or transformative nature if all that is available is a mechanical, automatic law that's impersonal. There is a quality of awareness. So this is my opinion, okay? I feel that our very awareness, not our identification with our body or our name or our roles or our age or any of that other stuff that delineates us as a human being person, but our very awareness. So when you look at me, if you have no thoughts in your mind at all and you're just looking at me, just awareness that you're there and that you're looking. That's God in you. That's my human way of trying to figure that out. That there is a presence. I know that I have been specifically guided when I have prayed for guidance in a particular area. Oftentimes what I was guided toward was not something I wanted to have to do, but it was very important that I do it. And I don't think I would have gotten specific guidance to assist me if there wasn't an awareness presence as well as a creative law. So we think of the creative law as just sort of the mechanism by which God creates, not the whole thing. Now, we have had ministers who absolutely believed that God was simply a law. I cannot fathom that, but we have had ministers who believe that. But Ernest Holmes did not believe that. Ernest Holmes didn't fuss about what people believed specifically. He just taught them treatment, and he taught them his philosophy, and they did with it what they would, and that's what we encourage you to do, is take what works for you, and don't just assume that because anybody says it, that's the truth. Try it out for yourself. Really use it. Prove it yourself. In the book of Malachi, it is said that God says something like, "Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts," blah, blah, blah. And then he talks about giving. But prove me. Don't just do it because they tell you to. Prove me. Put it to use yourself. When did consciousness begin if we evolved from single-cell bacteria? Well, I don't know that single-cell bacteria aren't conscious, first of all. You know, my plants turn toward the light. There have been tests with plants that when they put electrodes of some kind on them, I don't even know if electrodes is the right word, and they could tell that the electrodes transmitted something that looked like panic when somebody approached the plant with pruning shears. I don't know that since the moment of that first single cell, we haven't been conscious. And the progress, the growth of the depth and breadth and width and height and length of our consciousness keeps expanding, keeps growing, keeps evolving. So, yeah, I think that's what I think. I can't say I know. Where do we go after our bodies die? Well, as Ramana Maharshi says, don't be silly, where could I go? It's not a place, the way that we think of a place, I don't think. It's a state of consciousness where time and space don't work the way they do with us here. So those who have passed on may be with us at any given moment, or they may be in multiple places, or I don't know. But I don't know, sometimes I feel the energy of somebody else, not necessarily visible. That's all I'm going to say about that. But the last part of this I really like. P.S. What about cats? Well, I have no reason to believe that everything that has a beingness and a presence, doesn't have a place to go, a place, see, it's none of those things, but after the body. In fact, of the energy of things that sometimes I feel, our dog is one of them, and she's been gone since 2013. So, you know, I don't know the answer to that question, but I would say I think they've got their place too. I loved a little cartoon that somebody did after Charles Schultz passed that showed him and Snoopy at the pearly gates. And he said, I can't come in if he can't come with me. And St. Peter said, we can make an exception. But I don't think it is an exception necessarily. If we love, we're with those we love. If they love us, they're with us. You know, whenever we want them, however that works. And I don't think that's untrue right now. Think of somebody you love who's passed on. Just think of them. Okay, now they're here. They're here because part of their energy exists in you and calls it forth with love. I imagine them sitting in the empty seats here just giggling about this whole thing. Why is it that we don't have the abundance of people in this philosophy as we did in the past? What has changed from 20 to 30 years ago? The way that people learn has changed. The way that people's attention span has been managed has changed. When Ernest Holmes began was before 1929, but that's when this organization started. People had the radio. They were used to listening. The way that they learned in school was by lecture. They sat, the teacher talked, and they memorized stuff. When television came in, we got used to watching and listening. So we would see and hear, but we would sit in front of the television. Then we got introduced to breaks for commercials and so on, which was maybe more frequent than what we would have had on the radio. Then we got computers, and we got instant communication with people. We could send a message and get a message back from somebody anywhere in the world within minutes, within seconds. And so our interests have shifted in how we absorb information and how we do community. The whole world has shifted. So almost all spiritual groups that have met like this in some kind of regular weekly gathering where somebody talks have diminished in size. I think that Islam may still be growing, and some evangelical threads may be growing. And I would just say on the evangelical side of things, it's very comforting if you're frightened to have somebody tell you they know your answers and they're going to give them to you. And all you have to do is follow directions. That's not to say everybody in the evangelical movement operates that way, but it might be what causes some growth now. Islam might be the same way. People feel like the world is falling apart. They need more discipline in their lives, in their communities, and so they grab on. I don't know for sure, but that's one possibility. And so this is true, not just here, but in all of our churches. What's happening is a decentralization where instead of having a building and a central place where local people come together, things are getting spread out, and there are non-local places where all these people are cooperating together, and they all come online from all over the world to receive this information in bits and pieces, longer and shorter, depending on how long they want to watch or how engaged they want to be. When they want to do something spiritual, then they go someplace for an event that's going to do that, like for Sufi dancing or a meditation group or chanting or something like that, where they can go or not go. You know, they have a lot of freedom, and so I would say more people are sampling these days, looking for the threads that feed them without feeling like they need one specific one to be the one. Does that make sense? So I think that we are in a transitional process, and it's not that we're doing anything wrong, although one thing to be aware of is that our message is much more prevalent in the world in a secular way now. People know that their thoughts impact their feelings and their perceptions and their interpretations much more so than even they did when I started at the church in Seattle in like 1978. So this is what we're looking at as an organization and as individual centers as well. And we don't know the answer, but we're kind of playing with things, seeing what shakes out. That's the last question I have, and so I need to stop actually also. So let's join together in prayer now with gratitude for all of your questions. We know we are immersed in a divine consciousness and awareness, a presence that is infinitely loving. It's right here in this room. It's here as this room. It's here as the surface I'm standing on, as the surfaces you're sitting on. It's in the lights. It's in the music. It's in the altar. It's in the vibration of my voice. It is within everything here. It is knowing us perfectly, completely, absolutely, and seeing nothing to disapprove of. We are absolutely held in the most profound love, and at essence, we are that. So, with holy boldness, we honor our fear, and to whatever extent we release it now into its native nothingness. It never had any power over us. We let it go. We invite our souls to assist us in coming to an awareness of who we really are in love, of making space to discover the wholeness, the beauty, the goodness, not only within us, but within everyone we look upon. Seeing them in this way reveals even their hidden beauty. So we claim this great good, knowing that the law works by the power of this shared consciousness and this word to bring forward what we have claimed and welcomed and accepted, and neutralizing everything unlike it. We claim that now for ourselves personally and for our planet as a whole. We let this go with love into the law and simply let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Please stand and join me in the morning affirmation. That was the prayer. Together. The infinite has no unanswered questions. I'm made from that infinity. Whatever I need to know is known now, right where I am. I am receptive, welcoming, and open to this knowing. And so it is. You may be seated. Oh! Thank you. Thank you. Woo! Yay. My
Nobody
concern was,
stumped her.
what?
Nobody stumped her.
Nobody stumped me. Well, I made up a lot of stuff.
That's how you always get off the stump.
That's right. So this is now our time of sacred offering. If you are online and you would like to make a gift this morning, please text it to the number you see on the screen. Just text the dollar amount, and then they'll lead you from there. And yes, ushers, come forward. We want to bless all of the gifts in the room today and all of the gifts we have received over this past week. And we want to bless all of us. If you're here for the first time this morning, your presence here is your gift. but we are all a gift. So put your gift over your heart this morning, and let's say the offering blessing together right now. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Now, would all the practitioners come up? All the practitioners that were at the retreat, come up right now, because this is the time that we're going to hear your wonderful song. The spring retreat that the practitioners went on, Bodhi was the facilitator.
We have some words up here.
As they were here, they wrote this song. And they did the lyrics, Bodhi did the music, and they're going to sing it for you now. Look at all these practitioners. Oh, yes, you go ahead and receive the offering while they're singing. That's fine. So let me turn it over to Bodhi and friends and practitioners. And some of you can stand up here, too. I don't bite, usually. So here we go. They have the words over there.
All right. There's words there for you. 2, 3, 4. I am home, planting a garden, grounded in the good. I am home, connection in the presence, beauty, grace, and flow. I am home. This is the new beginning. I am content with what I know. I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home. Sing it again. I am home. Planting a garden, grounded in the good. I am home. Connection in the presence, beauty, grace, and flow. I am home. Do endings always lead to new beginnings? I am content with what I know. I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home. Keep that going. I am home. Let me hear you sing it. I am home. I am home. I am home. One last time. I am home. 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 Yeah.
They're going to go ahead and do another song right now. So why don't you guys just sit right here so you don't have to stand.
You do a blessing for the thing? You already did all that?
Usually, but we do it after the song.
Okay, we
because then
gotta-
I go right into
We gotta go
announcements.
to my last song here. All right. You ready for one more song? Yes. Okay, well. Well, some of you know. 3 more. I'm doing a sound healing tonight in Nevada if anybody's interested. Anyway, so, and I have a new book out too if you want to check out my new book. Anyway, I moved to Mount Shasta, some of you know, and I've been going to Mount Shasta for over 50 years. And this year I finally surrendered. It was time. It took me 50 years, so I realized it's kind of a cool place. This is a song I wrote to the mountain. One, two, three. Mountain Shasta, Mountain Shasta, Mountain Shasta, call me home. Mountain Shasta, Mountain Shasta, Mountain Shasta, call me home. Oh, call me home. Call me home. Oh, purple shadow. Oh, purple shadow. Purple shadow. Light the way. Purple shadows. Oh, purple shadow. Purple shadow. Light the way. Light the way. Light the way. Oh, light your lantern. Light your lantern. Light your lantern of peace and love. Light your lantern. Oh, light your lantern. Light your lantern of peace and love. Oh, of peace and love. Peace and love. And come together. Come together. Come together in unity. Come together. Come together in unity. In unity. In unity. Sing to me, Joe. Mountain Shasta, Mountain Shasta, Mountain Shasta. Oh, call me home. Oh, Mountain Shasta. Mountain Shasta, call me home. Sing that with me. Call me home. Call me home. Call me home. Call me home. Thank you. It's good to be back.
Love playing with this guy.
So now, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, all of us together do accept the offering with gratitude, and we send it out into the world so that people hold their questions lightly. And so it is. If you're with us today for the first time, I want you to be aware that the table in the back has a lot of information on it that's free for you to take, including welcome packets. Take out the blue card in the welcome packet, fill it out, and turn it in back there, and Selma will give you a little book as our thank you for being here and your invitation to come back and be with us also often in the future. And I want to thank everybody for their help in getting everything set up and ready for us this morning. And let's give a special hand to Bodie, Joe, Rick, and Amanda.
Love playing here.
I have an announcement to make. Our dear Sue Ruda made her transition overnight last night. And it happened very fast. So Davia, her daughter, and I spoke this morning, and she said that as of late Wednesday, she was talking to Lloyd on the telephone, Reverend Dr. Lloyd, our founding minister here. She was talking to him on the telephone. But between Wednesday night and this morning, it just went really fast. Now, Sue has been declining, little by little over this past year. And I think probably since her husband passed away, it's been more difficult. Her daughters have been, taking good care of her along with Josh. And so I know that we're sending her off to her next adventure with so much love. And of course, she's toasting us too as she goes on. So let's give her a round of applause, shall we? Hey, Sue! Good job, Sue. Yes. Reverend Barbara, who used to be at the Napa Church, called it graduation. So she's experienced her graduation now. And Davia told me that they won't be doing anything formal as a memorial until late August, and she'll let us know when they get ready to do that. So I'll keep you posted. Right now, I think probably if you're likely to call, don't do it right away. There's a lot going on, and they are kind of overwhelmed. So we just send them a lot of love and keep them in our prayers. I'm doing a workshop from 1 to 3 at the office today. If you want to come ahead. It's very easy to find the office if you've never been there. Take the Central San Rafael exit, stay in the left lane. You'll be on Irwin Street, and you're going to turn left on 3rd, which is just 2 blocks. And then as soon as you turn left, keep your eye open, because you're going to turn into the parking lot and park right there and come in the door that's off the parking lot. I would encourage you to be there by 12:45 if you're coming, because the building is locked, and we'll have to close it after everybody gets there to make sure that it's secure. So want to make sure that you get in if you're planning to come. And if you're not on the list and you want to come ahead. We'll figure it out. All right. Also, Leslie and Lori's class, Leslie Giannetti and Lori Greer, are teaching the Journey of the Soul for 6 Tuesday nights on Zoom from 6 to 8:30. It begins June 18th. You can register on our website under the Classes and Events tab. And also, August 2025, there's going to be a cruise with some of your favorite musicians, Eddie Watkins Jr., Karen Drucker, Gary Lynn Floyd, and Michael Gott. If you don't know Michael, he's got a gorgeous voice. Anyway, they're doing a cruise to Alaska, a sort of sail into your bliss musical cruise, and you can make a deposit anytime. It's refundable right up until May of 2025. So if you think you might want to go, it'd be a good idea to get your reservation in right now. And in your program, there's that 800 number. Also, we're on our summer program for healthy snacks, which means you're the snack team. So if there are snacks, it'll be because you brought them. Fresh, plated, ready to go. That's what we need, and we love you for that. Also, please remember our practitioners are always available. You can make an appointment with any one of them. Their numbers are on the table over here, but you can also put in a prayer request or get a prayer after the service, or do all those things. So the practitioners at the table are available for prayer following the service. Just go and stand over there. If they're busy with somebody privately, they'll be right back to you in just a moment. I want to invite the practitioners now to surround the room for our closing prayer. Thank you for hanging in here with us today. I know it's really long. Hopefully no one has any questions now. We've answered all questions. Somebody told me they were going to ask me the meaning of life, but they didn't, thank God. All right, so turning within, we bless. We bless. We bless this morning. We bless the divine consciousness that brought us all together. For truly, we're here by divine appointment. We accept that the one presence has invited us into this wonderful adventure for our own growth and delight. And we accept that opportunity with joy and gratitude. We claim this week as a wonderful opening in consciousness for us, leading us into greater depths of safety, freedom, and wholeness in the one. We claim this for ourselves and for everyone here present with great gratitude and joy. Letting this word go into the law, we just let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Please stand and join us for the closing song.